to Leading the Way podcast, where you'll learn neuroscience-backed ways to lead more effectively and have more fun at work with what you already have. Hey there, it's Chris, and welcome to Leading the Way. So excited that you've joined us, audience, and I have a stellar guest for you today. Dame Clarissa Burt is with us today. Dame, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much. Just Clarissa is fine.
All right. Well, we were
Thank you
royal
for
in the
that.
beginning, and we'll go from there. So I do want to share some of your accolades before we jump in, and they'll be in the show notes. Joking aside, you've done a tremendous amount with your life, giving to others and in your own career. So I want to honor that and share a little bit of the bio so people are as excited as I am. Now, I will say, Dame, I guess one more time, you were knighted by the Royal Order of Constantine and Great Saint Helen. You're one of 350 dames worldwide.
Well, there are two. Sorry.
250?
Well, no. There were 350 at the time. That was 2 years ago when I was knighted. There have been some more added in the meantime. But, notwithstanding, no matter how you slice it, it certainly is it's a huge honor. And it's something that I'm, it's very, very close to my heart. And it doesn't really change me or my life in any way. It just is. It's a lovely recognition. I'm a part of the Royal Order, and it's a Royal Order that around the world is doing some really great things. What I didn't know is that Saint Helen was Constantine the Great and Saint Helen. Saint Helen was Constantine the Great's mother. And so knowing that, it helps to understand why this is a royal order that does so much for children and around the world. So that they have me at hello,
That's so powerful. That's so powerful. I'm going to put other things in the show notes, but you're a CEO, you're an acclaimed actor, director. You've done so much work. I know in Africa, helping women get a Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, you've done amazing things. So I'll put that in the show notes as not to overwhelm folks, but really honored you're with us. And as I was reading through this, I was thinking, a lot of people, when they hear someone who's really accomplished like you are, they can go into, oh, I'm not that, and feel lesser than. And I know you specialize a lot in self-esteem. What would you say to folks that sadly that's where they go to, right? Their brain puts them there. Any guidance for them?
Well, first of all, I wrote a book about self-esteem, and there's a reason for that, right? And one of the main reasons is, I think you've heard the phrase that has been coined is you teach what you need to learn. Success doesn't always equate with happy, healthy self-esteem. Sometimes you can plow through things, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're feeling super good about yourself at all times. And so I was able to learn an awful lot about life along the way, because when we come away from the familial tribe, we know what we know, and we know what they've taught us, and that is not a whole lot of information, especially back in our day, or my day, pre-internet, right? So we only knew what we knew. There were bookstores and the like, but basically most of the information you had in order to affront life and navigate this thing called life, it was basically going to be whatever you learned from the tribe, from mom, from dad, grandparents, and the like, aunts, uncles. Then we had faith. Faith teaches us things. Our educative institutions teach us things. Our friends peer groups teach us things. And so we put all that together, and then we're out into this thing called life. And then we have to start navigating on our own. And so when I came out of my familiar tribe, what I knew was yelling and screaming was the way to get through life. Wow. And so the one that could yell the loudest and scream the loudest was the one that won the fight, or something along those lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Violence was also, kind of frequent in the house. And not that I didn't become violent. I knew that was wrong. But, you come away from certain teachings that may not necessarily serve you or the greater good in any way, shape, or form. So there are things that, you have to learn along the way. When I go back to those bookstores, Chris, I go back to Walden Books, Border Books in Barnes & Noble. That's what we had at the time.
Right.
And there was a little section in the back, and that little section in the back was called self-help.
Yes.
And honestly, Chris, if you remember, there couldn't have been any more than 40, maybe 50 books on those shelves. There weren't a lot. It wasn't really a thing. And I'm talking to you about really the 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
And so, now it's a full circle moment for me with the self-esteem regime, because now my book has been 2.5 years on the shelves in Barnes and Noble, the only
Nice.
remaining bookstore in the United States, really, apart from the independents. And so, that was where I learned. I mean, I knew I needed guidance and assistance and help and sustenances of some mental, emotional sustenance, if you will. And that's where I found it on the bookshelves. And so, yeah, I hope I answered the question. I
Yeah,
do tend to
absolutely.
babble.
No, absolutely. And it's interesting too. You mentioned family of origin, tribe, whatever you grow up with. We can hold on to those things so tightly and dearly, even if they're not useful to us, right? And then like defend them, even if they're not useful to us. Like I know
Yeah.
loud and fighting, and that's right, and everything else is wrong because our brain makes these constructs up. How did you soften those for yourself? Was there a moment like, boy, I need to do something
Well, I knew
here?
the teachings when I got out into the world weren't working because I
Okay.
was yelling screaming and people were going, "What the hell's the matter with you?" And I went, "Oh, this isn't the right way." So you learn, as you go, you soften as you go. And then as you grow, you start to look back and go, "Mom and Dad, love you guys, be home for Christmas, see you for Thanksgiving dinner." But that wasn't working. And I know it wasn't working. It's not going to work. And then, you learn to put together your own tools in the shed that are going to
Mm,
serve you at any given time. You're the one that pulls together your value system, which is something that many people don't even understand is really one of the basic things that will get you through life and will certainly help float a happy, healthy self-esteem mindset in your life. And so when I ask somebody, give me your top 4 or 5 values, most people really don't know how to answer the question.
yeah.
When I offer that your value system is your life's blueprint, it's the hill you're going to, I say live on instead of saying the hill you're going to die
Right.
on. It's the hill you live on. It's the one thing that when you come to the table, people know this is what they're going to get. Mine is I take the high road. And for me, taking the high road is honesty, integrity, gratitude, and honor.
Mm,
And I really, again, Chris, it doesn't always make me the most popular person in the room,
sure.
right? Because a lot of people don't want to live by or abide by or be put into a boundary, if you will, of that kind of. Some people think it's really strict or too stringent. I think it's just the proper way of being. I don't want people lying to me, so I don't lie to people. I'm honest. I
Yeah.
think that integrity tells volumes about our character. Gratitude is the first thing that it's the first thing that should be going through your mind before you hit your feet hit the ground in the morning.
Yeah.
Give me 10 things you're grateful for now. And then of course, honor is, who are you when no one else is in the room?
Mm,
you know who are you when no one else is in the room? Who are
mm.
you really? And that's, honoring all the other values that you have in your personal blueprint. There are many different values, but those are mine. Yeah.
Very powerful. I love it. And I'm just curious. I'm not someone that's in the media like you are, but I have this imagination that might be not accurate, that part of the role sometimes is you have to put on the happy face or the package of the actor that you're meant to be. And at the same time, how do you align that with like who you are, right? So it shows up authentically. Is that a real thing and a challenge, or is that not a thing at all?
I think you're talking about masking potentially, just sort of like putting on the mask of everything is good and everything is fun. I think that there are certain environments where absolutely you're there, if especially a professional environment,
Mm,
if you're getting paid for a service, you're getting paid for what you're getting paid for, whatever it is, it's still a service that you're providing. And I think in those kind of contexts, that's where you take your personal blueprint, you take your value system with you wherever you go, but you don't necessarily, I think we've all been taught that the people that are our work that you work with, you can be with them, you can be friendly, but they are not your friends.
mm,
And so, that's kind of an environment where I wouldn't want to be putting everything out there. In an other kind of relationship, mother, father, sister, families, the man in my life, like all of those other relationships, I want them 100% to know who I am and what I'm about. I also want to be able to track some really my boundaries, which are, boundaries are nothing more than teaching people how you will and will not be treated.
mm,
And it doesn't have to be done with anger or angst. It's done with ease, joy, and glory. When you really take someone by the hand and say, "Hey, listen, Can I talk to you for a second? What you just did, what you just said kind of hit hard a little bit. And can I explain why? And normally what will happen is, if you're in a good relationship, Chris, that person's going to go, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Didn't know, never meant to, would never happen again.
Right.
It's forgotten. Let's move forward. But if somebody starts pushing back with, oh, come on, get over yourself. What's the matter with you? You're always in a mood. Then you're probably in a toxic relationship. And with one of the other things that I'm really, really stringent, if you will, about and my being and in my teaching is the toxic stops here. Anything that I got, anything that came forward, anything that I learned that was toxic, especially in relationships, whether with myself or with
Mm.
others, it was going to stop with me. So I really do purport living a non-toxic lifestyle.
Mhm.
Uh, full stop.
It's so powerful, and it's so easy to get on autopilot with that stuff and not even be aware of it, right? You have to be really conscious and make the choices.
Yes.
And know that you're gonna probably experience some turbulence right when you make that choice. But just like most plane
Well,
flights, it doesn't last the whole time.
old habits don't open new doors, Chris. You know what
Right.
I mean? It just, it's kind of like the way it is,
Funny
So
how that works. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
and
it's
we
funny how
expect
that
them to.
works. And therein lies another, bit of, when you start to do the self-esteem regime, for
Yeah.
me, first of all, regime is an organized way of doing things. And my
Mm.
book is set up so that it's an organized way of learning and doing self-esteem. But it's broken down into the 12 different chapters where you start with release. And
Mm.
that, again, talked about before, is like letting go of all the things you thought were etched in stone, again, written in marble, whatever the heck. And
Right.
that once that you are the first of all, you're always going to be a work in progress. So people say, do you ever take self-esteem test and no, you don't get 100 on a self-esteem test.
All right.
And the reason for that is it's called life for a reason. It ebbs and flows. It will trigger you. It comes and goes. There's going to be something lurking around the corner that you're not expecting that will hurt you,
Mm.
whatever that is.
Mm.
And so I offer is that, we continue to do the work on self-esteem, self-improvement, personal development all the time. It's one of those kind of things you need to put in the calendar and make sure that you're coming to the table all the time with at least another chapter a day or a week. Like, keep on with that quest, because you are, inevitably you're going to, here comes a storm, here comes a tornado, here comes that trigger, here comes the pain. And when you have the proper tools in the shed at any given time, you know that you can rely on those to help navigate better today than you may have 10 years ago or 20 years ago. Right. So that is what I really, really underline, underscore, and push heavily is
I love
continue
that.
work.
It almost sounds like I don't know why I was channeling Arnold Schwarzenegger a second ago, but it reminds me of like you're putting in the reps, right? There's work to be done here that's continual, and you'll never be in perfect physical shape necessarily. I mean, you're perfect as you are, everyone is, but
Yeah.
there's always more to improve there, and same with self-esteem.
Yeah.
The other thing I was thinking as you were saying too is there are these moments in life that we either kind of have the courage or we don't, and they can have like these great impacts one way or the other. And we can look back like, gosh, I wish I had a little more courage, right? Or a little more self-esteem. Do you see that in your work in your book? Is that a pattern that you've
Yeah.
seen?
I know I've saw it in my life. I
Yeah.
definitely saw that. There's a reason, because I said at the top of the show, there's a reason that I wrote this book. I mean, I suffered with, lack of self-esteem for a very, very long time. And most of that was, again,
Mm.
familial. It was also a little bit, faith-based, as as an Irish Catholic. It was a little hard to navigate some of the things that were being thrown at you then.
Sure.
And so, uh, but I always look back and say, I really do thank all of the teachings and everyone that was there to form me in some way, shape, or form, because I'm the person that I am today. I wrote the book that I wrote today. I know that it's changing lives one chapter at a time, and that after you get through chapter 1 again, which is release, then you go to chapter 2, which is rebuild, and you get
Mm.
to build the life that you want, not that you were told you should have, not you think you should have, not to make anyone else happy, but you
Right.
really need to build your own life. And if you have, what I say is I have a mantra, and the new mantra is, I am so much, I'm not, you always hear I'm enough, I'm enough, I'm enough. And so one day I think I looked up the definition of enough. And the definition of enough is only as much as is required. Only as much as is required. And I went, oh my gosh, by definition, the word enough is enough.
Right.
So
right.
the
It doesn't
new
have the notion of
mantra,
complete in that definition, right? Or whole
not
or
at
any of
all.
those
Right,
things.
exactly.
Right.
So the new mantra is now, I am so much more than enough. And again, as I said before, we are a work in progress. There's never going to be a time where, it's all going to fall perfectly into place. There may be some moments in life, but something will happen. And there's a reason also, Chris, why when I go back to that little bookstore, the bookstores with little shelves in the back, self-help.
Yep.
Today, only bookstore remaining is Barnes and Noble, and there's a huge section called personal development.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
it's a billion-dollar industry.
Right.
So yeah,
there might just be a need for it. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's interesting too. I know you've got experience a lot of people don't of being on reality shows and
Yes.
and how you show up on the screen with that. And yes, it's edited down and engineered and all that, but you've got to show up just completely holistically. And I would imagine all sorts of self-esteem issues. Who am I? Come up in that pressure cooker. Is that true or no?
Yeah, I guess I don't even know how to answer that really. I mean, people are people. No matter where you go, you're going to find them where they're at.
Okay.
And not everybody is doing the work, Chris. Not everybody's doing the work because you must be tenacious, and certainly you have to be courageous. I think people, especially when it comes to things like self-esteem, they will get to a point in their lives, or something will happen in their lives, or there will be this major trigger in their lives where they go, you know what? My life's just not working. It's not working for me, and something has to give, something has to change. And that something that has to change is usually you.
Right.
And that means getting your hands dirty, finding the books, the courses, the classes, the meetup groups, their documentary. There's all kinds of information out there about personal development, self-help, self-esteem, self-confidence. People, and there's just so much out there now and there's so much more now than there ever was when I was a kid. There's really no reason not to be, finding the information that resonates with you, the teacher or mentor that works with you, resonates with you, or, again, Barnes and Noble is full of the, personal development section. Just get in it and start, flipping through a couple of books and see what you come up with, but read it, do the work. People say, oh my God, it's work. Yeah, sorry, it is. It's kind of work. It's going to take a little bit of work, but once when you feel the way you're feeling when it's not working for you, but there is that light at the end of the tunnel, and every step you take forward is bigger, bolder, brighter, and more beautiful. And when you get out on the other side, life is an amazing place to be. Yeah, we're all going through it. We're all in difficulty. There's a lot of strife in the world, but on the other side of this, as long as you're doing the work and you're bringing the best you to the equation every day, that's you're helping not only yourself, but I think you're helping humanity as a whole.
Oh, 1,000,000%. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that we're always aware of the examples or seeds that we're planting. And, sometimes we're lucky enough to know about them and someone tells them, but a lot of times we're not. And showing up that an authentic self, I love it. The other is, and this, but not all the listeners do, that we have 10 trillion brain connections, give or take a trillion. There's lots and lots of pathways that can be lit up there that aren't lit up. And so if something's not working in your current ethos, and that's probably all of us listening, there's probably a part in our life we'd love it to be or working better. We literally have the neuroplasticity to make that happen. I mean, it's pretty amazing. We're not as stuck in the ruts as we think we are with things. And that's just a universal or God or whatever people believe in gift that we've got. That's right there. Right?
Yeah.
It's just begging for us to take action.
It kind of goes back to when I was saying living a non-toxic life. So that means the foods that you ingest. It means, and I'm really big on non-toxic cosmetics as well. So it means all the things that we are using on our body and there's a lot more than you think.
Sure.
Especially for women, we can walk out the door 26 or 27 different cosmetics that we have used just in that one day.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, I mean, cosmetics, I mean, skincare and cosmetics as well, makeup.
Mhm.
And so there's a lot of, lead, heavy metals in these products, and a couple of different apps that are also very useful when you go shopping, that you can scan the product and it will tell you where that product is on the toxicity scale, so that when you're in the stores, you can
Wow.
start to buy less toxic. I personally make almost everything myself. So pretty much
Wow.
everything that's in my house, yeah, from lip balm to lipstick to shampoos to conditioners to face masks to all of the things. I've got a room full of oils and butters and bottles and all non-toxic cosmetics, so that I um it's actually going to be a side business very soon, but
Nice. I was going to say, it sounds like you're add to your
yeah.
resume. Yeah, that's
Yes,
cool.
it is. It's another part of the new resume. So, the four pillars that I talk about in the non-toxic realm, or let's say in the self-esteem realm, is to look good. So, a pleasurable aspect, especially when you're looking at yourself in the
Yeah.
mirror, you got to like yourself. Feel good. So that's diet, exercise, nutrition, wellness.
Mm.
Be good, it's all the things we're thinking. It's leadership and relationship and finances and business, the be good portion of who we are. And then the greater good is giving back, volunteering, tithing, paying it forward, however you do that. And it doesn't have to be money, it can be gestures as well. So just living in a non-toxic way as much as possible already kind of lightens your load.
Yeah. It's as you were saying that too, I'm reflecting too on I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and I don't remember the source and it might not be accurate, but saying that a lot of Gen Z is on their devices 6, 7 hours a day. Like that's a normal thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's really 6 or 7 hours. It might be 3, it might be 20
Oh, no,
minutes,
I
but
don't
it's
doubt it
probably
at
a
all.
lot. And
I don't doubt it.
that dopamine hit and toxicity. I know very few people that get a lot out of being online all the time. If we really zoom out and look at it, and
Yeah.
I'm as guilty as many of being on my phone too much,
Yes.
but
Yeah.
it's not like it's a non-toxic environment. I think, years later, we're gonna look back and like, gosh, maybe it wasn't as bad as smoking in RJ Reynolds, but it might be as toxic. Is that part of your regime too? Is timing or focusing on your type of online engagement, or is that not even a thing?
You're breaking up a little bit. Focusing on.
On the being online, being in the scroll, is that part of your toxic regime or?
First of all, yes. I think
Yeah.
one of the most important things that, and I'd love to bring this in at this point, is when our attorney general last year, Vivek Murthy, came out and said we've got a youth mental health crisis. About 50% of our kids, 50% of our kids, and that's elementary, high school, and college age, are depressed, anxious, thinking of committing suicide, or have committed suicide. That's an astronomical number. Most of this happened during and post COVID. And certainly we're not necessarily, I mean, they open the door every day and see what's going on outside. They have more information at their fingertips 24/7 than you and I ever did,
Right.
in a year, Chris.
Yeah.
So they are absolutely bombarded, and it's, I think it's incumbent upon us on, I'm not a parent, I haven't been, and I certainly I am not in a position to tutor anyone or teach anyone or preach to anyone
Sure.
who is, I think I've taken, care of people along the way, but, I've never had children of my own. So I get what an extremely difficult job that can be. But I'm one that purports get rid of the, devices, get rid of them at least an hour a day. Let
Yeah.
that be the hour. Dinner time, let it be you chop the celery, you set the table, tell me about your day, put on some music and like whatever that is, to get them out of those devices go up, and they have to be up for that full hour and break, just so there's a little bit of a break. It's what I would do. I'm sure there are other ways around it as well. Getting them out into nature more.
Yeah.
I think that it's a really hard go these days to get these devices out of kids' hands. But as parents, I also think there are some things you might be able to do so that there's more connection
Yeah.
around this. So think about your day. And I know that for the most part, you're going to get, it was good. It's fine. It's
Yeah.
okay. I remember doing that when I was a kid too.
Absolutely. Right.
But I think just sitting at the table, having, dinner and just kind of talking amongst yourselves the best you can and, really like bring up fun subjects so what did you think about this in the news today? Or like have them talk about, but be together as a family,
Mm.
Netflix and chill. That's fine too. Cuddle on the couch, popcorn and a soda, but it's still time away from, it's still I love I think we need to be cuddling more and coddling less.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. One is a positive outcome and one kind of holds us all back
Yeah.
from our
Yeah,
full
yeah, yeah. Holds them
potential.
back.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Clarissa, I know too, a big part of who you are is being a person of service and giving back and being really engaged. Do you have any, it's probably hard to pick favorites, but favorites that come to mind in the moment of organizations you've had a chance to work with or causes you've been able to help?
Yeah.
Anyone's come to mind that just like, oh, this lets me up and it was so much fun.
Well, I think that we talked about my two private audiences with Pope John Paul II when I was living in Italy, and that was for the social work that I had done. And
Yeah.
so, as a woman that's never been married, didn't have children, every weekend, when I wasn't working on TV, I would be out and about in Italy as a whole for the different events that they were having or putting on for charities that I would always go to. If they asked me to be there, I would be. They send me a car and I would go and really just gift my time and just have some fun with the crowd and that sort of thing. Most of my weekends were spent like that, and that's when the Vatican called me in. It was National Volunteer Day, I think it was.
Mm.
And so a couple different times they called me in and I got to, I had a private audience with, I'm looking at the picture right now with Pope John Paul and twice. And so that was really, really cool thing to be able to, to meet the Pope in that way. But to answer your question, there were a lot of different charities then. So it could have been the police academy. That could have been a million different things. It could have been many, many
Mm.
different. One of the things that I am closest to now is are organizations that have to do with domestic violence. So there's a domesticshelters.org. I've been there here, they're headquartered here in Phoenix. I had much to do with them, especially over COVID. We were
Mm.
going out on a weekly basis. We were going out live on StreamYard and making sure that, we were getting some public service announcement out about we are here should you need us, because a lot of women were at home with the abuser because the abuser wasn't
Mm.
going to work. And so the escalation was more than it normally would have been.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm very passionate about domestic violence, domestic
Yeah.
abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where my heart beats.
It's so powerful. And I mean, where that connection is made for sure, in addition to being a great person of service, that's a massive boost to self-esteem because
Yes.
you have a purpose and people that are involved in this like you are, I know for me, sometimes when I'm involved in organizations, I almost feel guilty because I get so much out of it. I don't go to complete guilt, but I mean, there's a little bit like, why am I getting so
Exactly.
much
No,
out
I
of
know.
this? Right.
It's phenomenal community, But I do think that, it's another part of our sacred duty. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To be able to give back to community in that way, or at least, me being in the media, I can open up some channels that others may not be able to, and especially with a lot of the charities, they don't have budgets for media.
Right.
So I always opened up doors, whether it be in my magazine or all my shows or whatever, that they had the chance and the possibility to, I don't have huge numbers, but whatever, I think that when you always hear the message when you're ready to hear it. So hopefully we were able to help some people.
100%. Well, for folks that are hearing this and are excited by your book, we'll certainly have a link to the book. You said it's in Barnes and Noble. We'll have those as well.
Okay.
It sounds like you've got a beauty line coming. So if that comes, would love to
Yeah.
put that in the show notes as well. That's really
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah. So here's the
Um,
book. You see it, when you see it on, it's in Barnes and Noble, it's BarnesandNoble.com. It's on Amazon all over the world, Kindle and Audible too.
Nice.
No
Nice.
excuses.
Nice. No, that's awesome. So excited to have you on the show. Thank you for sharing so many things you did. Before we close out, I always ask every guest, what's something you're grateful or thankful for today?
What am I thankful for today? Air conditioning.
Fair.
I'm not gonna lie, because I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and it is, and I have a fan on me at the same time. You can't see it or hear it, but it's air conditioning and the fan because it's been
Nice.
pretty hot here. So,
Nice. Three digits are no joke.
I'm thankful for the heart that beats in my chest and keeps me alive every day. That I'm also very grateful for. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my family, the sun that's shining, a full pantry. I'm grateful for, again, the family that loves me. I'm grateful for a car that gets me around. Again, I traveled so much, Chris, this world.
Yeah.
And I've seen the epitome of poverty. So there's not a darn thing. I'm grateful for clean running water.
Right.
I open up the spigot and the water comes out. Are you kidding me?
Right.
I mean, people don't have that as a luxury.
Yeah.
So I kind of, people that I work with and that I talk to that read the book, that I kind of remind them sometimes of, I give you like 2 minutes to bitch, moan, and complain, and then you got to move on because come up with the other 100 things you need to be grateful for, and we're good to go.
That's true. It's so true. And you're so right. Thank you so much for being on Leading the Way. And audience, thank you for listening in. Please do all the magical things so the algorithm will continue to like us. So like, subscribe, and even more importantly, share this with a friend. Sometimes our friends are going through stuff that we're not even aware of, and just being there for them, maybe giving them a little nudge. Hey, there's this book that I heard about that might be useful to you. You might be doing a bigger service than you're even aware of. So please do that, and please keep leading the way. Thanks for listening in.
Thank you for listening to Leading the Way podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe so you won't miss other great episodes like this one. And if you're ready for more in your workplace, be sure to go to aintent.com. You'll find lots of free tools, assessments, and ways to engage directly with us to get your own epic results. We'll see you there.